We've got so much information when it comes to the case of Kouri Richins. We're going to go over a lot of it. I've got so many documents. First of all, I have to give a big shout out to The Docket. The Docket on YouTube. Go over there, show him some love. We share documents back and forth. These documents can sometimes get so costly. I was just blown away with one particular case file, not the Kouri Richins case, where he told me today, Eric with The Docket told me it would be $30,000 to obtain this one case file. Anyway, more on that later. Let's talk about Kouri Richins, her emails. In these emails we're going to cover where Kouri Richins, before her arrest, you can tell she was freaking out. She started emailing police officers about Eric's alleged affair, and so much more. So I like to do this in order. In my previous video, we already talked about the March 4th, 2022 crime scene body cam transcript. So I read that whole thing yesterday, so I plan to do the same thing today, but moving forward to more documentation. I plan to put all the words on the screen so you can see the documents as I read them to you. So, March 4th, 2022, Kouri Richins told 911 and officers that for some reason her young 39-year-old husband just dropped dead for no reason. Well, now prosecutors allege it's because Kouri poisoned him. And of course, her defense attorneys are fighting that allegation tooth and nail. Before we watch Kouri in her next court hearing, which should be tomorrow as I film this, today is Sunday, June 11th. She's expected in court, Kouri, Monday, June 12th, to determine if she's a flight risk, if she's dangerous, if she should be let out amongst the people or kept in jail, until at which point she will go to trial. So we looked at that March 4th crime scene body cam. Today, we're going to look at Kouri's March 4th, 2022. She's a defendant, and it's her written statement, what she claims happened that fateful March day. I put this in a timeline. Then we'll take a look at April 13th, 2022. A detective, Woody, had an audio recording interview with Kouri. That's when he gives her Eric's cause of death. So we're going to go over that. We don't hear the audio, but we will see the transcript on the screen. And she gave her interview to Good Things Utah and everything. Then, almost 1 year to the day after this Detective Woody audio recording with Kouri, she showed up at KPCW's studio in Park City, Utah. It was April 12th, 2023. That's when she took that famous photo in the white coat that reminds me of a doctor. Little did Kouri know she was almost headed towards her arrest. Well, 5 days later, April 17th, 2023, all the way through April 19th, 2023, that's when these emails go back and forth between Kouri and detectives. That's when Kouri starts blaming Eric for having an affair. She starts talking about how they used to love international travel. She explains the weekend she moved out after demanding Eric end his affair. She talks about a lot of things. She talks about her nanny, her travels with Eric before he died, what she did with her boys after Eric died, the big soccer family that they are, and everything. We're going to read all of those. Finally, we're going to read Kouri's damning Google searches, especially the final search on here about fentanyl. At the time of Eric Richins' death, he was worth more than $5.1 million, which prosecutors are alleging gave Kouri 5.1 million reasons to do away with him. But of course, her defense team is shooting back and saying, not so fast. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Kouri tried to poison Eric at least 3 times. That's what Eric allegedly told people before he passed away on the 3rd time. But of course, Kouri's defense team is making it seem like that's all hooey. It had nothing to do with Kouri trying to poison him. These were reactions between allergy shots and alcohol. A couple in Greece in 2019, and there are witnesses that will say things to the contrary. So like any good jury member, I'm looking at this as if, okay, let me take in all the evidence and see where it would lead. So let's start with this. It's always nice to see a person's handwriting. I know handwriting analysts like to look at how a person writes. So this is from the Summit County Sheriff's Office. Kouri Richins' voluntary statement. We aren't clear whether Kouri wrote this herself. I shouldn't make that assumption. Sometimes detectives might write down the written statement for the defendant. But anyway, we'll eventually get to see Kouri's handwriting. The incident happened around 3 a.m. on March 4th, 2022. Just like Kouri described in the previous video with the body cam transcript, Kouri claims Eric and I put the kids to bed at around 9 p.m. We had a drink around 9:15 p.m. to celebrate work, brushed our teeth around 9:30. We laid in bed for about 5 minutes. My son was having nightmares, so I went to sleep in his bed. My husband and I said, "Good night, I love you." I woke up around 3 a.m. to go back to bed, and I got in our bed and went to hug, cuddle Eric, and he was freezing. I put a blanket on him, then gently pushed him and said, "Eric," but he didn't respond, and his body was heavy or having a weird feeling. It's hard to read the writing. I knew something was wrong. I turned the lights on. He was pale, not breathing. I called 911. She told me to do CPR, pull him off the bed with the sheets, and I did. Then the paramedics showed up and took over from there. You might remember if you watched yesterday's video, check the link below if you haven't watched it yet. They found some discrepancies. Kouri Richins told the dispatcher that she was indeed doing CPR on Eric. However, the first to arrive, some fire guy, as they call him, obviously some firefighter EMT who arrived, said Kouri wasn't doing CPR. We need to get more details on that. We'll need to see the body cam footage. Ultimately, when we see the body cam footage, if we see EMT entering at any point, even though the fire guy might not have a body cam on him, but we will hear his eyewitness testimony if he was able to just walk in that door, if it were open, and if he saw Kouri there, he can testify as to what she was doing. Was she just standing over Eric? Already, Kouri's devices have told on her. Somewhere in all these PDFs I read, Kouri's phone shows she was moving, traveling for a certain amount of feet, and it shows when she unlocked her phone sometime around 3:07 a.m. or what have you, and how it took 12 minutes or more after that for her to finally call 911. So they're already stating in here everything she's telling in her testimony, her version of the story, isn't jibing with the actual metadata, the actual facts, and that's where people get tripped up. So just wait till the end when we go over her Google searches. Now let's go over this quickly. I'll put it on the screen too, so we don't have to see who's going back and forth, but Detective Woody audio recording. This is the transcription from April 13th, 2022. So it was just a month after Eric's death, and already I believe cops are more than suspicious of Kouri. Detective Woody, Kouri? Kouri says yes. Okay, let me explain to you what's going on, okay? Why didn't you just tell me to come? I know that's a common question cops say when I guess a person is either being arrested or questioned or whatever. People often ask for some reason, why didn't you just tell me to come down there? I would have shown up. I guess people are just trying to be extra helpful. Of course, it doesn't mean they're guilty. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty in our system in America of due process, but I noted that's a common question cops say they get. Detective Woody, so Kouri, I would have came. We did tell you to come. So I don't know what they're talking about here. It seems like the audio maybe turns on, or they just turn on the transcript or start transcribing at an odd point where we don't know what exactly they're talking about. I know at this point cops have discovered, as you'll see, the dangerous drug that caused Eric's demise, and they want to know, is it in your house? So cops are in her house, I believe, so that's kind of the backstory. But he says, we did tell you to come. So let me explain kind of why I wanted to ask you what I want to ask you, all right? So I've been calling the medical examiner's office all morning trying to get information, okay? So what I've got right now is I've got that Eric possibly died of a fentanyl overdose, okay? So that's kind of where, Kouri, you can call Katie. He doesn't do drugs. That's a common refrain you will see from Kouri, even though she does mention she's going to call it a stupid THC gummy, and she's going to talk about Eric allegedly doing prescription pills way back in the day. This is about right in line with Eric passing on around March 4th. By April 13th, they should have received toxicology. So usually tox reports come in about 6 to 8 weeks afterward, so this is right on time. Initially, when they found Eric there, they didn't know what happened. They just saw blood and everything, so they don't know how he could have passed on. So now it took this much longer to find out how he passed on, and Kouri's defense attorneys are going to state one of the reasons they want her to be free is because cops didn't take whatever glass, whatever Moscow Mule, I don't know if it was the standard copper type of cup you put Moscow Mules in, or if it were a glass or whatever, but Kouri's defense is going to say, well, you know, cops never took it and tested it. I hope eventually they did, but that's what her defense is saying. Detective Woody says, no. Well, this is what I'm trying to ask you about, because all of that stuff, that's why we wanted you to come meet with us, to try to give us some information about what's going on, okay? Kouri says, yeah. So what we're doing, he doesn't do drugs, Kouri is insisting, is we're going to go check the house. We want to make sure there's nothing there because this is super dangerous. It's dangerous for you. It's dangerous for your kids. Yeah, yes, that is very dangerous. A lot of people are blown away that Kouri is accused of purchasing this dangerous drug. This CL informant, dealer, whomever gave it to Kouri, whom she purchased it from, is the centerpiece, the linchpin of this case too. Kouri's defense is going to say, oh, this CL can't be trusted because she said Kouri paid her $900 and then she said Kouri paid her over $1,000. But if Kouri really did procure this dangerous drug, it is weird that she would have it in their home, and no wonder cops want to go seize the home, because if you have this dangerous thing in your home with 3 little boys, it's scary. That's why I wanted to know if you knew where it was, anything like that, okay? Okay, so do you have the keys to your house with you? Is it locked? It's not locked. No, it's not locked. I don't keep my house locked. Okay, is anybody there? Oh, my nanny. So Kouri doesn't keep her house locked. Was it not locked the night of March 4th, 2022, when paramedics arrived? That's the big question. Did they just walk in there and not see Kouri doing anything? And secondly, Kouri's defense is going to claim none of this dangerous drug was ever found in their house. So this detective is going to ask Kouri, look, have you been in there cleaning up stuff and getting rid of stuff now that they actually know that fentanyl's involved? This is the first time I believe they're finding out. So cops have something new to zone in on, a very dangerous drug. Kouri says, oh, my nanny, my housekeepers. Your housekeepers? My mom, my brother, they're there. What about all your kids? Are they at school? Yeah, they're at school. Okay, my little one's in preschool. He gets out at noon. Okay, do you have your... He doesn't do drugs. My husband doesn't do drugs. Okay, he does. He eats stupid edibles. He does edibles. Okay. With Kouri continuing to mention these edibles, I feel like Kouri's trying to set the scene that Eric must have gotten a bad batch of edibles or something. But somewhere in this documentation too, it was noted that while Kouri keeps going on and on about these edibles and maybe Eric took one before he went to sleep that night, THC was not found in his system. So Kouri's kind of wavering like, oh, I thought he took one, maybe he didn't, maybe he did. It's all these maybes. Also in here, where the defense is trying to claim Eric was just a party guy, there are witnesses out there that will claim how much Eric liked to party, how with his seasonal allergy shots or medication or whatever, he wasn't supposed to be drinking alcohol, but they still think he got alcohol in Greece in 2019, or they're trying to explain away every instance. Like when Eric's sister's claiming that Eric got this poisonous sandwich from Kouri, or whoever's claiming that, they all run together. The defense has stories for each instance, like, no, it wasn't really poisoning then, it was his allergy shots reacting to alcohol that he shouldn't have got from this waitress. The server brought his drink straight to him. Kouri couldn't have interfered. The defense has an excuse for every single instance. When Eric allegedly ate that poison sandwich or what have you, the defense is saying, no, Eric was fine. There were witnesses. They didn't see Eric having to take Benadryl and, use his son's EpiPen and go pass out. The defense is biting back at every single thing we've heard from the prosecution thus far. Detective Woody, okay, so the other thing with this this is what we've got is it's an illicit drug, okay? So, which means you're going to have to get it from somewhere. You're going to have to get it from the dark web. You're going to have to order it in. You're going to have to get it from somewhere, okay? So we're also going to search for all the electronics. Do you have a home computer, laptops, tablets? Does he have a work computer? Kouri: yeah. Cody took it, actually. Kouri's going to start talking about Eric's business partner, Cody. Cody and Eric started their masonry business, I guess, in college, and it grew to such a success. Eric was worth more than $5 million at his death. I mean, that masonry company was really, doing gangbusters. Unfortunately, somewhere in this paperwork, Cody speaks of how his relationship with Eric deteriorated, unfortunately, because one time Cody told on Eric when Eric wasn't supposed to be hunting a certain animal. He broke some kind of rules and he told on Eric, and that kind of fractured their relationship. But they were still in business, so that's the Cody she's speaking of. Cody took it? Okay. She works for us, yeah. So she has it in her house now. So why are they saying Cody, she? I don't know the she that Kouri's speaking about. I assume Cody Wright is a man that Eric was in business with, and sometimes I shouldn't. Sometimes I assume people are men that I shouldn't just by looking at their names and the business, but I shouldn't make that assumption. Detective Woody says, oh, okay. Kouri says he has an iPad. iPad? I'd have to look for it. And are they families or his or yours? No, they're work. Okay, they're his. That one is his. Does he have an office he works out of? Yeah, but Cody came and cleaned out the office, his business partner. Where's the office at? Is that at your house? It's at my house. Okay. Kouri says, but they came and cleaned it out. She has all of our work stuff. Is this Becky? Detective Woody. Cody. She, so her name is... Inaudible? No. Detective Woody, okay. So see, this is why I'm getting confused. I think Kouri is probably trying to be intentionally confusing. She brings up Cody, which I'm assuming is Eric's male masonry business partner. But then she starts talking about Becky, who is either a housekeeper or a nanny or an office manager. I don't know who this Becky is, but Kouri's not being clear. So her name's Becky and she works for our company, Kouri says. We hired her about a year ago and she came in and cleaned out the entire office. And so now my work office is now there. So, okay, maybe this Becky is like an office manager. Now she's talking about Cody again. Kouri says, so Cody came and took all their files and everything. So if it's an electronic you're looking for, okay. Becky now has any kind of electronics. Okay. So, Kouri said, there's an iPad. I don't think she took it. If it's at my house, it would be. The other thing is, Inaudible. It's kind of odd that there was nothing there that we saw. I don't know if you were trying to help clean it up so he wouldn't get in trouble or if this didn't get out. So we also have warrants for all electronics. So that's in case you ordered anything on the phone. If you tried to keep us, he doesn't do from finding any of this stuff. I don't know that. That's why we wanted to talk to you, is to find where this stuff came from. Yeah. So do you have a phone with you? I have my phone, yeah. Is it in your pocket? We have phones. No, it's in my car. Okay, so I have a laptop. You have a laptop? I have a computer. Is that for business? Is that for work? Yeah, it's for my company. Okay. And I'm just assuming Detective Woody has a deeper voice here. That's why I'm just trying to differentiate. I don't know which detectives are male or female. Kouri says, did you guys find his gummies and stuff? Back to the gummies. That's what we're going to look for, all the stuff to try and figure out what is going on. I know where all of his stuff is. Okay. If that's what you're looking for, where's the gummies and stuff at? So, if you go in my bathroom, I haven't cleaned out any of his stuff. Everything is still in the same place where it was. His clothes, everything is still the same. But if you go, in my bathroom, there's a medicine cabinet above it. And he always kept everything like where the kids couldn't get them. So at the very top, there's, okay. The top stuff, that's where he kept everything. Kouri's making it a point to say, look, a month after Eric died, I have not gotten rid of any of his stuff, so she's making it a point to say I didn't just clean out all his stuff and throw it away. Detective Woody, okay, so we're going to seize all electronics for now until we figure out what's going on. That's fine. I still do want to talk to you tomorrow because well, I wanted to go today, says Kouri. Okay. I don't know, she just kept calling me. Okay. And telling me not to go, and I was like, I don't know why I can't go. I don't know what they're talking about, going where. Detective Woody, I understand. Okay. So we do still want to talk to you to figure out what's going on, okay? So rack your brain, try to think of what's you can think of, okay? Why would he do that? Like, my husband is not on drugs. And that's why we're trying to figure out what's going on. Is it cut crack? Like it's fentanyl. It's a pretty deadly drug. It's something it's becoming more common. It's not, well, would he get high? It can come in different in person. So what does that mean? Would he get high in person? And we've got to hear this audio and see this film for ourselves here. Like, I just mean, he ran 8 miles that night. Like, okay. I just don't. So I think Kouri, in my opinion, is playing dumb. I really think she bought this illicit drug and she's asking like she doesn't know what it comes in. Like, is it cut crack? Or I think she's trying to my mom used to call it, play the nut roll. I'm playing the nut roll. She's automatically casting dispersions on Eric. Why would he do that? Like, she hears this word, the deadly F word, and it's like, why would he do that? Would he do it like to get high? He had just run like all these miles that night, and she's trying to, in my opinion, play dumb, play innocent when prosecutors allege she's the one who bought the illicit stuff. She's the one allegedly who brought it into her home with her husband, with her 3 kids. And when we go over Kouri's emails and talk about the medication she's on, that gives us more insight to her psychotic behavior. That's coming up. Kouri, I just don't. So that's kind of where we're trying to go, is where did he get it from? Who did he get it from? Does anybody know? So right now we're going to go search everything. You're welcome to go back to the home if you want. You can't go in until we're finished, but you can take it. You can do whatever you need. Do you want to come with me and grab your phone real quick? Is anybody else in the car with you? So this obviously wasn't a phone call interview conducted, but it was just the audio transcription. They must have brought Kouri into the station or something. I don't know how they picked Kouri up or whatever, if they didn't give her any notice, but I think that's why she was saying, oh, you could have just called, I would have come. Is anybody else in the car with you? No, just, okay. And you said all your kids are at school? Yeah, inaudible. Grab the computer if that's what inaudible. Okay, I'll go and knock on her door and ask her. Do you want to take it out of the case or not? No, it's inaudible. Detective Woody, inaudible, stuff flying around. So like I said, we wanted to ask all you this before we try to find all his stuff, but we can do that tomorrow as well, so think on it. Like I said, you're welcome to go back to the house, just not in it until we're finished. If you need to go make phone calls or whatever else you need to do, inaudible. Okay, all right. Do you want me to? How can I make phone calls if? Yeah, I just mean like if you have friends or your mom's phone or whatever else. Can I just write down? Yes. Their numbers? Is that inaudible? Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fine. Can I just? An unidentified male speaker says, sure. Give you that and then inaudible. Sure. And then he'll follow you back and then you can do that. Okay. Hold on, I've got the phone going here. So that's the end of that audio file. What they probably did was take Kouri's phones and devices and download them on Cellbrite, get all that damning information about her movements, the deleted text messages, all the stuff that kind of contradicts her claims. Now let's get into these emails. You'll see Kouri Richins, Conrad Cruz, Real Estate Services, Aspire Home and Design. That was her email. You will see she's forwarding some type of proof to the detectives. And it's some kind of drug. I don't know how to pronounce this, but it looks like quetiapine. but it's an FDA-approved drug for schizophrenia, acute manic episodes. It's a treatment for major depressive disorder. So it leads me to believe maybe these are some of the conditions Kouri suffered from, but by no means am I suggesting everyone who suffers from these ailments would do what Kouri's accused of doing. But it could lead to, perhaps, if she's found guilty, some of her motivations. They're extended release tablets, long-acting, used to treat a mental illness. According to the government website Medline Plus, they're used to treat a mental illness that causes disturbed or unusual thinking, strong or inappropriate emotions. So coupled with Kouri's alleged greed and desperation and state of mind in taking this medication, would that account for her odd thinking, her wild emotions? She's accused of attacking her sister-in-law. Defense admits Kouri pushed her sister-in-law. According to prosecution and according to her sister-in-laws, both of her sister-in-laws are going to chime in here. I see both Amy and Katie have had their issues with Kouri. One of the sister-in-laws Kouri allegedly punched in the face and throat and neck, but no, the defense is claiming no, Kouri just pushed her, so that was a separate assault case. But this first email here, Kouri attaches something she got from her doctor on April 17th, 2023, asking when she was on this medication. She was on it August 21st, 2018. And we only see part of the photo, so I don't know everything there. But Kouri is emailing Chad Hoffmeyer and Jeff O'Driscoll on April 17th, 2023. It's late on a Monday night, and she likes using emojis like I do, like many people do, but it's like a friendly tone. Clarification is the subject. Hey, after you guys left Friday, I was trying to make sure dates were as accurate as possible, but I always feel like something was last year and it was actually several years ago. Crying emoji laughing. Anyway, you asked me when my doctor had prescribed quietapine. I believe I told you a few years before Eric passed. However, I emailed my doctor today to get a specific date, and this was her response. I don't even know if this matters for anything, but it was bothering me. Another crying, laughing emoji. Also, Eric's company was started in 2010, not 2012. I think I might have said 2012. That's when we got married, LOL. Again, none of this probably matters, but it was bothering me. A couple of days later, Wednesday, April 19th, Chad Hoffmeyer wrote, "Thanks for the clarification, Kouri. I don't know that it matters either, but I appreciate the communication." Now, when she emails a couple of guys back, also on Wednesday, April 19th, she really gets into some marital problems, and she's going to tell a big lie, Kouri, about them never having any financial problems. So Kouri wrote to Chad Hoffmeyer, Frank Root, and CC Jeff O'Driscoll. Hey there, I thought I would clarify some other things on your list that you spoke to blank about. The beginning of February last year, my kids had a soccer tournament in Mesquite. The day before we left, February 2nd, 2022, I tested positive for Rona. I have attached the picture of my test from on my counter in my kitchen from when I first found out. Photo number 1. We don't see these photos, by the way. I had sent it to my mom and blank to let them know because I was just around both of them. Eric was the coach of the soccer team, and I'm the annoying mom on the sidelines that never stops yelling. That never stops yelling, and it's like winky face, tongue out emoji. We don't miss games or tournaments. We're a huge soccer family. When we found out that I had Rona, I didn't want to miss the soccer tournament, nor did I want to get my kids sick. So I stayed at Casablanca. I didn't want to risk getting my boys ill during the tournament and then not play well. I brought a box of at-home tests with me to test every day so I could either join the boys staying at my father-in-law's or at least be with them during the game. Casablanca is about 5 minutes from the soccer field. Actually, here is a picture of the room number I stayed in. I had taken a picture for my mom and Eric. I was still positive every day, pictures attached. We don't see any of these. I would take pictures of my test to Eric to say, still positive. You can check Eric's phone for this. I stood on the sidelines wearing a mask and not interacting with anyone. Happy to get other soccer parents to attest to this. Eric had gotten Rona after we got home from Mesquite. You asked blank about any exotic vacations I have taken since Eric's passing. I went on 2 trips last year. One, my kids tried out at a soccer camp in Salt Lake City to qualify to play in Spain in June, and both my kids made it. So yes, I took them to Spain in October 2022. I have attached their invitation letters. So this is getting pretty verbose. It reminds me of people who start explaining way too much. I mean, details are good, but my goodness. Also, Eric and I went to Mexico every year, sometimes twice. We traveled a lot. We have taken the boys to Mexico a few times. We like to go in January. However, January of 2022, we could not go because Eric had his hunting trip to Mexico of 2 weeks planned, and it was too much that month. This is not new for us to go to Mexico or for us to go out of the country or on a vacation with our kids. I took my kids and my mom came with us in August of 2022 to Mexico. As I hope you understand, the months prior to this, since Eric's death, have been hard to deal with. No, I have never been to Key West or the Keys in Florida. However, my nanny went with her family in June 2022. So maybe you have something mixed up. Now here's the affair, finally. Eric's affair was the same year I moved out. The trust was created as well as him looking into a divorce. So she's saying the same year that Eric created some trust that he would ultimately put in his sister's name, that was the same year that Eric allegedly had an affair, and he was allegedly looking to divorce Kouri. Like we know, we visited in previous videos, Eric had indeed talked to a divorce attorney and an estate planning attorney. Kouri continued, I never actually moved out. I moved my clothes out one weekend to make Eric understand I'm not kidding about leaving him if he doesn't end things with blank. Boy, have I ever wanted to find out how to separate the black off of a PDF, but the person's name is redacted. I did this on a Thursday or Friday while he was out of town. I was home Monday. I never stayed another night at that other house. I don't know what other house she's talking about. Maybe she moved out, went somewhere just for a weekend, some other house, and came right back. Eric and I figured things out like most couples do. Blank was her name. He changed her name in his phone so I wouldn't know about it. And honestly, we worked things out, and after that, I never went through his phone again to see if he changed it back, but you have his phone and can check. Eric and I went to blank counseling in Camas. We only went about 4 times maybe. It wasn't for us. Blank and blank are the same person, as I'm assuming you know this? Haha. I'm also assuming blank told Woody her husband got a call from him and gave all this information. LOL, yet he didn't ever go in to talk to detectives. Ironic how these things work. So here, Kouri is obviously trying to throw Eric's mistress's husband, in my opinion, under the bus and cast shade on whoever this man is. I think she's saying, let's just say the woman's name's Sally. Let's say Eric saved Sally in his phone as Daria. So I think she's saying Sally and Daria are the same person, as I'm assuming you know that. Haha, I'm also assuming that blank told Woody, that's the detective we just read the interview with, told Woody her husband got a call from him. So this woman, this mistress, if her husband didn't know about it, he knows now. He got a call from Detective Woody and gave all this information. LOL, yet he didn't ever go in to talk to detectives? Ironic how these things work. So Sally/Daria's husband got a call from the detective, so maybe he just did a phone interview, but this husband never went in. So Kouri, you can tell she's trying to say, oh, maybe this other dude did it, you know? Isn't that weird? Ironic how things work. That guy never got called in like I'm getting called in. In my opinion, it makes her look more guilty. Anyway, she continues. Mental health, yes. I got postpartum after my second child in 2014. Yes, I took medication for it. I'm wondering if she can take this other medication here when she's pregnant. Only if the potential benefit justifies the potential risk. So that's one thing I'm wondering. I was wondering if she was off of her schizophrenia medication during her 3 pregnancies. Did that exacerbate something? I don't know if she was on it or off it. Here's the big lie, which makes me think there's a lot more lies in her words. Kouri says, no, Eric and I did not have financial problems ever. There's a lot of evidence to the contrary. I mean, the same day Eric went off this earth, Kouri had a very long conversation with the IRS. And if I got into all the other paperwork, which maybe I'll do separately, it just shows her account was overdrawn by maybe $20,000 or more. It talks about all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, in overdraft fees she was paying. It goes through a whole timeline of Kouri's desperate financial state of affairs. But here she's saying, no, Eric and I did not have financial problems ever. Yes, Eric made more money than me. Do you make more money than your wives? I mean, isn't that kind of just so witchy? Isn't that such a witchy question to ask these detectives? Do you make more money than your wives? I mean, this has nothing to do with them. Have I ever been financially reliant on Eric in the last 5 years? Absolutely not. This leads me to believe how much Kouri was lying and all of her motives. You know, how much she took his tax payments and didn't pay them and all these other things. Eric confronted her when he found out stuff, but Kouri's claiming in the last 5 years she has not been financially reliant on her husband at all. And yeah, he makes more money than me. Don't you detectives make more money than your wives? You know, have I been financially reliant on Eric these last 5 years? Absolutely not. It just shows you it feels like it was a competition to her. It wasn't like, oh, household income, this marriage, you know, it was just like, we'll get into it. Eric did not want me working because, one, his first wife cheated on him with a guy at work. So we know his first wife, maybe that's why they got divorced. She died really young, I saw. Julie Jorgensen, she was still in her 20s when she got hit by a drunk driver. 2, that's all redacted, want to know what that says. 3, Eric wanted us to live the typical conservative life where the man takes care of his family and the wife is a homemaker, wife, mom, and that's it. That is not my personality and not the way I was raised. I am very independent. Even when I stayed home with my kids the first few years, I was in grad school for years because I wanted to be more and do more than be a homemaker, and I did. And when I did, I started my business. It took some adjusting, but Eric and I were fine with it. We hired my nanny and everything worked out. It did not work out. First of all, let's talk about how much she's disparaging stay-at-home moms and homemakers here. I get it. It's nothing wrong if a person wants to be quote unquote more, or if a person wants to do more, of course, outside of their motherly duties. Of course, men want to do more than be a dad. I get that. You know, we all might have that longing, but it doesn't mean we have to disparage people whose main job and goal and calling in life is to be a homemaker. It's quite a wonderful thing to be able to raise kids and raise them healthily, you know, in the Lord. She doesn't see it that way, apparently. She seems like she's looking down on stay-at-home moms. We hired my nanny and everything worked out. No, if you read these financial documents, it talks about Kouri starting that flipping home business and just so much money is involved. But it's not like she went from a little success to little success. It looks like a lot of failures in there and huge risk taking, and I don't think Eric was fine with it. My nanny moved out because she was engaged and she and her fiance were moving in together. That was always supposed to be temporary. She worked full-time for Eric and I for years prior to his death. If anyone can tell you about our marriage, it's her. She lived it with us. Feel free to call her. Blank has already submitted her phone records to you to prove that your toll is incorrect. I don't know what's so incorrect about the detective's toll. Blank will also be submitting hers over to you guys today or tomorrow. I'm working on getting mine. However, Eric's business partner is not being cooperative, but you can call Blank and ask for them, and he would probably give them to you. I know what time I went to bed that night. There is no hole in my story. Hopefully by obtaining 4 phone record documentation, you guys can see to this too. So this is April 19th, 2023. the month before she was arrested, May 8th. Obviously, cops are confronting her about some kind of holes in her story. But Kouri says, happy to clarify or provide anything else you may need. I just want this over. I just want our lives back and to move on and to grieve and mourn my husband without looking over my shoulder constantly for you guys or the idiotic private investigator or the Richins family. Whatever I can do to help close this out, just ask, and I'll give you or tell you whatever you want to know. Please check with the lab on those gummies. P.S. She starts a little personal thing here. Chad, I hear you also know our good friends blank. Their son and my son play on the same soccer team. When Eric passed, blank took over coaching. You guys could even chat with them if you feel necessary. So that was her long email, Kouri Richins, from April 19th. Let's look at these Google searches before we close out here. I think the last one is especially damning. I mean, there's so much to go over here. I'll just give you the highlights. She was in dire straits. Kouri was in a lot of debt. I might put her business dealings in a separate video if I can get to it, but the important part is her Google searches. According to the state, they indicate a consciousness of guilt and plan to hide evidence. So let's just talk about what she was searching on her iPhone. Kouri searched, can you delete everything on an iCloud? Can you delete everything off an old iPhone without actually having it? Can you change the password remotely of a lost cell phone? Can deleted text messages be retrieved from an iPhone? What do cops, when they seize electronics? It's a lot of misspellings. I think some people do this intentionally. But what do cops do when they're seizing the electronics? What information can be obtained from a cell phone? Women, Utah prison. I think she's looking forward to, ooh, what would it be like if I actually have to go to prison in Utah? Would it be kind of luxury, like she's going to Google here? Can cops uncover deleted messages iPhone? A lot of us in the true crime community, we see these searches all the time, and part of us are like, oh my goodness, don't people know cops can uncover almost anything? How to lock my iCloud, how to erase phone data permanently with EMI number. I don't know what that means. How to permanently delete info from an iPhone remotely. So things where she's trying to say, what can I do? What can I do without actually having the phone with me? Can cops force you to do a lie detector test? What are you allowed inside Utah jails? Death certificate says pending. Will life insurance still pay? She wants the money. Here it is. Luxury prisons for the rich in America. If someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as? You know, why is she searching for if someone's poisoned? What's the death certificate going to say? Now, all these defense attorneys that have been speaking out, one in particular, you know, he's like, oh, it's just searches, you know. Kouri lost her husband. She's wondering what the process is going to be. Sure, Jan. FBI analysis of electronics in an investigation. Can FBI find deleted text messages? Can the cause of death be changed on a death certificate? When does the FBI get involved in a case? How long does life insurance companies take to pay? And this last one, what is a lethal dose of fentanyl? Now, of course, all these things, there's so much to go over here. I'll see how much I'll put in separate videos. I don't want them to be just humongous here. There's so much to go over here, but of course, all of these Google searches do not mean that Kouri is guilty of anything. She's innocent until proven guilty, but the deck is seemingly stacked against her. It'll be interesting to see what the court says tomorrow. I want to know if she's going to be set free on bail or not. The state makes this case about how much of a flight risk she could be. They talk about these bags that Kouri had ready for her, Eric, and their boys in the garage, you know, that had copies of their important paperwork and stuff in there so they could be on the go. They go over the incident where, according to the state, it looks one way. It looks really bad. It looks like Eric had nearly $200,000 in this safe and Kouri had a locksmith try to get it open. Ultimately, she got into this battle with her sister-in-law and attacked her sister-in-law over it, and we don't know where that money is. According to the state is saying, no, yeah, Kouri saw the safe, had the code changed, she got a locksmith, tried to get it open. No, she just pushed her sister-in-law, and it was only $10,000 in there, and it's still in there. So, you know, we're hearing a lot of he said, she said. We'll have to see what the evidence actually says. And a jury of her peers one day will figure out the truth and hopefully bring justice in this case. The way this case started, it was, oh, Kouri tried to poison him 3 times. He told other people he loved her. He didn't want to leave. He wanted to be there for his boys, and a lot of these can be true. At the same time, now the state is speaking out. No, Kouri didn't try and poison him at all, and Eric was a partier. It could have been a reaction between some things, and they've never found that illicit drug in her house, and Kouri's claiming Eric had the affair. So, you know, just like will happen, you will see both sides just trying to convince a jury. We'll see if there's enough doubt here or not. And hopefully we can get a bunch of video. I was still trying to get video from Kouri's last hearing. But I believe if a person is chosen as a pool videographer, hopefully they'll bring out that pool video footage for everyone. I know certain things have to be redacted. Witnesses are just people, random people in the court, so certain things might have to be blurred. It gets tricky. Hopefully we can find that video footage from her previous hearing and the video footage from tomorrow, Monday, June 12th, to see what Kouri is saying and wearing and looking like in court and see which way it goes. But for now, those were all her Google searches that we know about, and there were other innocuous things she searched for too, like what kind of doctor was Dr. Pepper? And other curious questions. How do you undo microblading? I never had microblading, even though I wanted it. And so can it be undone? I don't know. But those were the damning searches that are being brought out. So we'll see. And that was the transcript. Those were the emails. There's much, much more, but I don't want to make this video too long for now. I'll create a separate one. Psalm 46:10. Be still and know. Recognize, understand that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. I look forward to seeing what'll happen with Kouri, her fate, and what the real evidence shows. Thanks for watching.